Fellowship, having escaped Moria and on the run, are tracked down by Lurtz and his Uruk-Hai scouts, determined to capture the halflings and the prize they carry for Saruman. Can Aragorn protect the hobbits and what remains of the Fellowship, or will the Uruk-Hai prove too many? 600 points fight it out in this match play battle report. Hello and welcome to Striding Edge Games. We're your hosts, I'm Boris.
And I'm Julian.
And we're here with the very first matched play game we're bringing to you on this brand new channel. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this one. We have Lurtz's Scouts Legendary Legion versus the Breaking of the Fellowship Legendary Legion.
Yep.
Very, very thematic. Jules, what are we doing? What's the story that's going on here?
Oh, well, it's a classic matchup, but as we don't have our Amont Hen terrain finished yet, we're going for an alternate history where perhaps maybe the Fellowship didn't sail on boats down the Anduin, or maybe they already did and they've just got across and they're now travelling over land and they're being ambushed by Lurtz's scouts and they're going to have to bust through a ford to escape them.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe Lurtz's scouts were a bit slow and didn't catch up on their coffee and caught them further downriver, so they'd already abandoned their boats. Who knows? But we have again super thematic. I think kind of accidentally you've painted up the breaking for an event we're going to soon.
Yep.
And Lurtz's Scouts, we went to a doubles event in July last year at Warhammer World, and we took Ugluk Scouts.
Yeah.
Which is really good fun. We really enjoyed it. And the we had all these scouts painted up. So all we needed to do was paint Lurtz, and then have Lurtz's Scouts. So
I thought it would be a fun matchup. I mean, it's basically loads of pretty decent fighters.
Yeah.
Versus very few, four really good fighters and then four hobbits.
Yeah.
That suck.
You got Pippin on your side. He could be.
He's a boss.
Detriment or who knows. So yes, we're deployed on this lovely board. You might see some other bits and bobs in our Quest of the Ringbearer campaign, which we also host on this channel. And we're probably going to do a few hobby videos about how we've done various bits, so you should see those posted up soon. So we rolled up Fog of War for the scenario 11 from the match play guide. Quite a good one for this. We were quite worried, we sort of gave ourselves a little veto system, but some of them, like I was fearing Clash of Champions, where you have to kill complete leader kills, and obviously with Aragorn as your leader, and me having 35 models to your 8.
Me having 8.
And every single one of yours has fate.
And I'd say you've got a good chance of killing 3 of the 8.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
So I was fearing that. But no, we rolled Fog of War, which is kind of ideal. Basically, mission-wise, we have deployed 12 inches in either side. And you'll see that in the footage now. And there are 4 objectives. You have to secretly nominate a hero of yours to keep alive, and you get 1 or 3 victory points if they're wounded or unwounded. You have to secretly nominate an enemy hero to kill. You have to secretly nominate a terrain piece on the board to control, and that's worth 1 or 3. And you have points for broken, and you gain more of your unbroken. The enemy is broken. So we've both secretly chosen objectives, which will come up on screen now. The one to keep alive can't be your leader, but other than that, it's fair game. So quite an interesting one for me, because there are obviously some quite squishy heroes on your side, Merry and Pippin in particular. But do I do the double bluff and go, you're going to be trying to keep them out of combat? Do I try and go for Boromir is the thematic choice. Try and slay him, cut him down.
He's also the hero that just wants to be in combat.
You're not going to hold him back. You're not going to hold back Gimli from combat, are you?
No.
So,
Who do you go for?
Who have I gone for? For you, I guess it's a bit of still you got a few heroes to choose from for the Uruks to try and kill. You've got 4 or 5 heroes, including the drummer. So
yeah, I mean, they're all broadly quite similar in the sense of, other than the drummer, but they've all got reasonable might, they've all got good fight, good strength, the same defense, other than Lurtz actually I think it's got, because Ugluk doesn't have a shield. And
no, it's 4 to 5 across the board basically. Not huge defense on either side actually, because it's probably one of your weaknesses is a lot of your heroes are 4, a lot of 5, a couple of 4. The hobbits are 3.
Yeah, I think.
And
other than Frodo, because he's got the mithril coat.
And Boromir and Gimli are 6 and 8, so they're crazy. But yeah, it could be. I think it's going to be really interesting. We're both playing a Legendary Legion as well, which is quite cool. Lurtz's scouts, rules-wise, quite simple. They basically lose the Isengard army bonus, obviously. You gain Malher's Marauders, so 8-inch base move for the entire army, which is
just wild. I mean,
absolutely fantastic. I think I've got a drum in there as well, so I think turn 1 we're going to be doing moving faster than cavalry, which we found in our, we're playing doubles, and it really comes into effect.
And you can double it up with heroic march, and then suddenly it's like, I'm going to move 15 inches.
Yeah, 14 inches. 14 inches, I think it is. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The other benefits are you gain a bonus to Maelstrom, which obviously isn't in this at all, and you Lurtz can challenge anyone in a heroic challenge, no matter the heroic tier. So he could walk up to poor Merry or Pippin and challenge them. Not sure why he would, but it could be fun, I suppose. He gets D3 might back if he does.
I know, only if he beats them.
I would hope he would.
They probably wouldn't accept it.
True. Yeah.
Although I could accept it and then hide them all the time, and Lurtz has got to go after them.
Yeah, that's very true. And then he has a special rule about throwing a shield as well. Yeah, that cool bit in the movie where he throws a shield. So he could knock someone prone and then charge them. Kind of cool. That's about it for Lurtz's scouts. If you're breaking the Fellowship, you have a ton of bonuses, which we probably won't go into, but
yeah, I mean, it's almost too many to name, but essentially every single Fellowship member gets a unique special rule, apart from Merry and Pippin, who have the same special rule.
Sure.
Theirs is straightforward. They just re-roll failed wounds if they ever win a fight.
Pretty grand. I mean, you never know.
It's pretty good. Sam always gets to climb because he's got a rope.
Cool.
Which is
zoom him up.
Potentially good.
Bit of terrain piece.
The other's a bit complicated. But
we'll bring them up.
They'll probably come up when they come up more than anything else. Most of them are sort of re-rolls or...
Yeah, there's a couple against magic, which obviously isn't helpful in this
Boromir
game.
gets woodland creature for some strange reason. But,
sure, gets charged through some trees. That's
cool.
That's
it. But yeah, I mean, the actual Broken Fellowship, just in general, I mean, the thing is it's... You already paying, but the upgrades are baked in. So Frodo has the mithril coat. He's got Sting.
Yep.
Sadly, Aragorn can't take a bow, which is curious, but... so there's only one archer.
Yeah. Gimli's axes.
And Gimli's got a throwing weapon, so we'll see how that does.
Yeah. You've all got elven cloaks though, so I've got quite a few bows, or 6-7 bows, which are probably going to be mostly useless if you're in cover, and you're going to probably be. So hey, if I ever happen to catch one of them out in the open, then that's handy. But yeah, the Legendary Legion I think is pretty powerful. But yeah, it's going to be really fun, I think. It's very thematic, but I think it's what Middle-earth does excellently. This is still going to be quite a tight game. Going on to predictions here, I'd say. I think it's still going to be a tight game. It's going to be a race of can you butcher Uruks
How quickly can you break them,
how quickly can you break my force? And how many Fellowship can I drag down? If I get a good surround and manage to win like an unexpected fight against perhaps one of the weaker midline heroes like Legolas, could quickly snowball in the Uruk's favour, but then ultimately if you got Gimli, Aragorn and Boromir are just absolute beasts.
Yeah.
If they get into the lines and start culling Uruks and the Uruk heroes in particular, might be over quite quickly. But we're going to try and avoid that, I suppose. Your thoughts, predictions?
I think the same. I mean, the issue that the Fellowship will have in this particular scenario is 8 models, 4 of which are worth anything.
I mean, Frodo's got heroic defense in the ring.
Frodo is hard to kill.
Yeah.
That's his advantage. The problem is these Uruk-Hai that are moving 8. If I split up, I'll just get dragged down and overwhelmed.
Yeah,
by
that's a good point.
So
you just turtle up in a blob, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we've played a practice game before with Boromir, getting surrounded by goblins, and
Goblin Town.
He basically went like 7 turns of continuous combat. He never lost.
I think right at the end he did, but just through
But like,
yeah, it took a long time, and the Horn of Gondor was huge.
But it was basically Boromir was just out of the game. I mean, it just didn't matter.
It cost 2 or 3 goblins a turn to basically
exactly. And so that's the issue is, you know, you've got 8 heroes, and every single one of those heroes, and really, as we say, there's only really 4 of them that are going to do anything. Every single one has got to continuously be doing work.
Yeah, that's very true.
And if you're just feeding a single Uruk-Hai turn into you know, Aragorn.
Yep.
Then Aragorn's got to use his free might to always call a heroic combat, so he can, you know, snowball on. So we'll see.
We'll see. Right. Well, we'll roll priority on camera for turn 1, and let's see what we get. So I'll lead off as evil. Big 5. It's pretty good.
All right.
Hey.
It's on a 3.
3 on the good. So it is turn 1 to evil. Lurtz scouts. We'll go into the army list overviews and give you some shots of the board, and then we'll see you in turn 1. "600 points of Lurtz's scouts, the Legendary Legion, in 4 warbands led by Lurtz himself. The Legendary Legion grants a few special rules, the first being Relentless March. All models in the army are upgraded with Malher's Marauder's special rule, so they gain an 8-inch base movement. A worthy foe, Lurtz may declare a heroic challenge against any enemy hero model, regardless of heroic tier. And finally, shield throw. Once per game, Lurtz can throw his shield. The army is 35 models with a breakpoint of 18. The first warband is led by Lurtz, who has a shield, a sword, and a bow. In his warband is an Uruk-Hai drummer, a scout with a banner and a shield, 8 scouts with shield and sword, and 1 scout with a sword. The second warband is led by Malher. He has 2 swords and armour. In his warband are 6 scouts, 4 with shield. The third warband is led by Ugluk. He has 6 scouts, 4 with shield.
"600 points of the Breaking of the Fellowship Legendary Legion. There are 8 models in this Legendary Legion, and I have taken them all. We have Frodo, Sam, Pippin and Merry, Aragorn, Boromir, Legolas, and Gimli. The Legendary Legion has a few special rules, including free upgrades for each model, which we'll go over at a later point. But there's also the Blessing of Galadriel special rule, which won't be relevant. Models always count as having had the Fortify Spirit magical power cast upon them. This is always in effect, even if their will points have been reduced to 0. The Bond of Fellowship, which means that models from this Legendary Legion count as being within range of a banner if there is another friendly model within 3 inches. And you have my sword, which means as long as Frodo is alive on the table, or escapes, if this applies, all models from the Legendary Legion gain the Fearless special rule, and the Force will never be considered broken whilst Frodo is alive on the table.
Start of the movement, turn 1 for evil priority. We are drumming with the war drum right in the centre of the Uruk-Hai mass there. We're not going to call a heroic move, as I don't think we need the extra movement just yet. So that is where we're starting, and we'll come back after the end of the first movement. And that is the Uruk movements complete. Just a huge wave of Uruks charging forward. Most of them are in the centre here, getting ready to run straight into the Fellowship's waiting blades and arrows. A few have peeled off around either flank, down this side of the board and on the other side of the board, just because we have the numbers to try and envelop or make the Fellowship perhaps choose to split up or maybe be enveloped. And in the back here we have some archers. They're not going to be too great, but they're just bringing up the rear. So we have a few reserves onto the Fellowship's movement.
And that is the Fellowship's massive movement phase. We've adjusted our deployment a little bit. We're making a little protective box around the hobbits. Legolas isn't moving because he's about to unleash a storm of arrows, because we're next on to the shooting phase. Okay, on the shooting phase, Legolas on the top left of your screen is shooting towards the sort of the general front line of the Uruk-Hai. They're on your right. He's going to go with his 3 shots in this instance. And it's worth pointing out, his Legendary Legion upgrade is the Bow of the Galadrim, which allows him to reroll any failed hit rolls as long as he's within 3 inches of a friendly model. So 3 shots. Predictably, a 6, a 1 and a 2. So rerolling the 1 and the 2 into another 1 and another 6. So 2 hits. Against Uruk-Hai scouts with shields, they're defense 5, the bow strength 3 because it's an elf bow, so we're looking for 5s here. And to get 2 3s, yes.
End of the turn, got away with not being shot there. Go straight into priority for turn 2. Good rolls.
A 4.
Okay, and evil.
A 5.
Ooh, okay, back to evil priority. And that is the result of the second turn of movement. We did activate the drum again, as we weren't going to get into combat this turn with the Fellowship. We've just moved up in a giant line, outnumbering the poor Fellowship. Stayed outside of 6 inches, crucially, so we won't get countercharged and starting to have our numbers dwindled down. Almost everyone was in range of the drum. We have a couple of Uruks over on this flank, just coming around this large central blocker. We have a couple in that little paddock there, which could be something to do with objectives, who knows. We have several bowmen coming up at the back, and we have a little group of 4 in this little ruin here as well. So we are well and truly surrounding the Fellowship now. We've got their movement and their shooting to come.
The Fellowship have tightened up their formation, protecting the hobbits to the rear. Legolas is not moving, but he's standing still and is going to take 3 more shots. Legolas is risking himself here because he could get charged by Uruk-Hai on the next turn, but it's worth it for those 3 shots. And we're on to the shooting phase. Legolas is going to take his 3 shots again. He's once more shooting into the general mass of Uruk-Hai. So he's got 3 dice, hitting on 3s. A 4, a 2, and a 1, so he gets to re-roll the 2 and a 1. And he gets another 1. So a 4 and a 3. Now it's 5s to kill. Oh, that's 1 dead Uruk-Hai.
After the shooting, straight into priority for turn 3, evil. Oh, only a 2. 1 for good, so it stays with the evil. Evil movement for turn 3 would have actually been quite good to have good win that priority, because it would have been nice to see where they moved and then counter. As it was, we decided to keep playing the waiting game. Every single Uruk-Hai is out of 6 inches, or should be, of the Fellowship at the moment. However, other than this one Uruk-Hai, one was in range to charge Legolas. He's going to die this turn, but it stops 3 shots coming down at us, which is potentially nice. Other than that, we're continuing the envelopment on one flank. We have a few archers who've moved half, just over next to the ruin there, who might be able to take a shot at the Fellowship, and we'll see what they do with their moves.
And for the Fellowship movement, the hobbits have retreated backwards. Gimli is getting ready to throw an axe, and Boromir and Aragorn have gone to support Legolas, hopefully to brutally punish this poor single Uruk-Hai that's just charged out of formation. We'll see how that goes in the combat phase. There's going to be some limited shooting next. I think a few Uruk-Hai scouts have got shots possibly. Frodo is going to cast his Blinding Light. As part of Frodo's bonus in the Breaking of the Fellowship, he gets the Light of Eärendil, our most beloved star, and he gets to cast a single free will point into the Blinding Light magical power. It's cast on a free up and cannot be channeled. He can't use it because he's wearing the ring, but he doesn't have the ring on at the moment, so he's just going to hit that, and if we're successful, every friendly model within 6 will only be possible to shoot on a 6 up. So he casts it on a 6.
Really quick evil shooting. We have 2 shots. 1 Uruk is in range of Merry, hitting on a 6 due to Frodo's Blinding Light. Oh, a 5, it would have hit, but no. And second, a long shot by both definitions of the word. 1 Uruk at the bottom of the screen is going to shoot into the combat with Boromir, Aragorn, Legolas, and the single Uruk scout, hitting on a 6. Oh no, I saw it for a second, but no hits.
For the Fellowship shooting, Gimli is the only one who's got a shot. He's going to throw an axe at the Uruk that's directly in front of him. Because he's moved, he's going to be hitting on a 5 up, and he's missed.
Start of the combat phase, and we have the single fight with an Uruk against 3 of the Fellowship's finest warriors. Starting off,
Aragorn's going to use his Mighty Hero special rule to call a free heroic combat without spending any might.
Starting the combat, the Uruk, he doesn't know fear. He's not shielding. He's going to go straight in and try and strike back. He is stabbing with his sword. Single dice to try and beat. A mighty 6.
Oh,
he does it.
wow.
White Hand of Saruman there. So let's see if on 9 attacks you can roll a single 6.
So we'll start off with Aragorn and his 3 dice. And he gets a 6.
Ah, there we go.
And 2 1s. I need to point that out.
Yeah, good point. So he is trapped, so that is 18 attacks to see if he can kill a single Uruk-Hai. If you don't, I think you have to hang up your dice. I don't think you're allowed to play Middle-earth.
I mean, I think if this doesn't happen, I think we just finish the game here, because it's clearly not in the stars. We'll start with Legolas, because he's got his rivalry going.
Yeah, true. So it's 5s to wound.
2 attacks, and he gets a 6.
There we go, he's dead.
And after that heroic combat, or not quite so heroic combat, after that heroic combat, the heroes have fallen back, trying to keep those hobbits protected.
And straight into priority, let's see what Evil gets. Oh, a 2 again. Good, the 3, so good at moving first this time.
And for the Fellowship's movement, they're still keeping things tight. They're still hoping to use that choke point against the overwhelming numbers of the Uruk-Hai. We're 2 wounds, 2 dead Uruk-Hai now, which is helpful, but there's another 33 of them. And we're on to the Uruk movement.
And this is the end of the evil move phase. We're not playing around anymore. Lurtz and his scouts have just gone straight towards the Fellowship. We were able to get within range for charging next turn. Hopefully one Uruk could have gone in and tagged Gimli, but I think it's probably a bad idea because we might have just awarded an extra kill and some heroic combat shenanigans. So we've just settled for laying up for charges next turn. A couple of Uruks have gone around the side, just around here. I'm going to continue pushing around through this ruin. A couple have gone up the hill and a few more following. And the archers have tagged in and headed into the terrain, the ruins, to hopefully shoot later in the game, and a few more are sort of bringing up the rear. Other than that, we'll have some good shooting to suffer through, and then next turn, hopefully, clash the lines.
Into the shooting phase. We're going to start off with Legolas. Because he can take 3 shots, we're going to go 1 at a time. He's going to try and kill the 2 which are closest to the camera here. So first shot is a hit. We're looking for 5s. Now it's a 3. Second shot is a hit. No, it's a 4. And then the third shot is a hit. That's what we need. And he gets 1. Next up for the Fellowship, well, the remaining shooting for the Fellowship, as the hobbits all moved, is Gimli throwing an axe. He's gonna just throw it down into the Uruk-Hai. He's moved, so he's sitting on 5s. Now it's a 3.
There isn't any Uruk shooting, so straight into priority for the next turn. Evil, all big 6.
It's Evils.
There we go, 2 for good, so that goes to Evil.
Start of the turn with Evil priority. Good are going to have to call a heroic move. Aragorn's going to do this with his 3 point of might.
And in response, Malha, right in the centre there, has decided to counter, also with a heroic move. So we are on to a dice off. 1 to 3, Evil, 4 to 6, good. And it goes to Evil. So Evil will be moving first. And this is what the board looks like after the movement. Pretty comprehensive. We've managed to move in, tag most of the major heroes with at least 2 or 3 Uruks. There was something to be said for only tagging them with 1, so they have to heroic combat to move into more, but we'll see what damage we can do. Malha is in combat. All the other heroes were not able to make it through the front rank of Uruks, the choke point really working here. On the side, Legolas has been engaged by a couple, and right at the back, Pippin has been tagged by an Uruk. Other than that, the archers and the drummers and auxiliaries kind of moved around the side. A couple more coming out of the ruin on this side. And on the back, to our left, the Uruk-Hai archers tried climbing that ruin. 1 made it up, 2 rolled a 1, so both of them just fell flat and they are prone, not doing anything this turn. So on to the remaining good movement.
For the Fellowship movement, such as it remains, the Hobbit Special Forces have charged out with their protective box. Frodo's donned the ring. He's charged this Uruk-Hai, along with Sam and Merry. They're supporting their friend Pippin. Hopefully, with the help of the ring and 3 hobbits, we might be able to squeeze a win here. Otherwise, that's all of the good movement.
Straight on to combat.
At the start of the combat phase, Sam is using his I'll have you Longshank special rule to call a free heroic combat as Frodo is engaged in a fight. And Gimli's going to call a heroic combat as he's in a straight up one-on-one and has got a good chance of winning that one. Boromir, who's facing 3 Uruks, is going to call a heroic strength here. He's got fight 6 and is likely doesn't need the strike, and a heroic combat isn't going to work. So evil are going to...
We had a thought, the only hero that's in combat is Malher. He could heroic strength, which I don't think would help too much. He's only got a point of might left, so we're going to save that to possibly win fights if need be, or keep him alive.
So the first heroic combat is the 4 hobbits versus the lone Uruk. Frodo has donned the ring, so that's halving the Uruk's fight.
We're down to a mighty fight 2. As such, we may as well shield on the Uruk versus the 4 hobbits. See what we get. Oh, a 6 high. Oof.
All right, so Merry and Pippin. Well, Merry and Pippin have a 4 and a 5. Then Frodo and Sam. So Frodo is on a 4, Sam on a 4. As they're all in the breaking, they all get a banner reroll. Starting with Merry's reroll. No. So and then Sam. I saw a 6.
Yeah.
Frodo. No. Okay, Pippin is going to spend one of Boromir's might points to tick this up to a 6 and win the combat.
There we go.
For the hobbits. Okay, the hobbits are all strength 2 apart from Frodo, who has Sting. Merry and Pippin have Elven Blades, which is part of their Fellowship special rule, which means they're allowed to reroll failed wound rolls. So they're going to start. We're looking for 6s here.
Oh, there we go.
Straight off the bat. And as a result of this successful heroic combat, this is where the hobbits have ended up. Frodo and Sam have charged into Malher, and Merry and Pippin are going to support Legolas, taking one of those Uruk-Hai off of him. Next heroic combat is Gimli versus the Uruk-Hai. Gimli's going to use his 2 axes and is going to piercing strike.
Yeah, 3 attacks, so we will shield in response. The good side, oh, big 6, there we go.
3 3s. Okay, so Gimli's going to take the free banner reroll into a 6.
There you go.
There we go. With Piercing Strike, Gimli is at Strength 5, which would normally be 4s. Thanks to his rivalry with Legolas, he will be wounding on 3s. So 3s to kill. Whew, just got it there.
Only just.
And Gimli ends the heroic combat by charging into Malher to help Sam and Frodo. Now we're on to the normal combats.
Into the non-heroic combats, we have a one-on-one with Legolas. We will stab with our Uruk.
That's your third 6.
Roll a big 6.
All right, so Legolas is versus a 6. He's got 2 attacks. He's got 2 4s. He's going to take the Fellowship banner reroll into a 6.
There we go.
There we go. This particular Uruk-Hai is without a shield, and Legolas is strength 4, so we're looking for 4s. We don't manage it, though. With those 3s, Legolas is going to spend a point of might. I'm not sure if it's the right call, but I'm just trying to get models off the board.
Right next to Legolas, we have a single Uruk versus Merry and Pippin. The Uruk rolls another big 6. Wowzers.
Oh, I can't win.
Oh, true.
The Uruks fight 4. What did Merry and Pippin do? Double 1. Okay.
Classic Merry and Pippin. 4s to wound, we will strike Pippin. No, not on a 2. Next, we have 2 Uruks versus the Heir of Elendil. We will stab with these guys. Another 6, 1 and a 6.
This is wild.
Yeah.
These Uruk-Hai are really trying their best. Aragorn's got 3 attacks. So he's going to take a Fellowship banner reroll into a 6.
There we go.
Okay, so Aragorn's got 3 strikes and he's looking for 5s to wound against these Uruk-Hai. We get 1, so 1 dead Uruk.
Next we have Boromir versus 2 Uruk-Hai at the start of the combat.
Boromir is going to blow his horn, so the Uruk-Hai need to take a courage check.
Yeah, courage 3. Ooh, passed just on a 7.
All right, so straight into the combat itself. I'm going to lead off because the Uruks keep rolling 6s, and I think it's because they're cheating by rolling first.
Yeah.
3 attacks for Boromir.
Yes.
Gets a 6.
The 6.
Boromir wins.
No need for them to roll.
One of the Uruk-Hai is trapped, so Boromir is going to start with him. So 2 attacks. He's looking for 5s here. That's 1 dead. And then 2 more strikes into the other. And that's a 6, so he's also dead.
Last up, we have Mauher versus Gimli, Sam, and Frodo, who is wearing the ring. So we are down to fight 2, which is really unfortunate. No special strikes from Mauher, so we're just going to go straight into rolling. He has 3 attacks. Oh, 6. Okay, not bad.
All right, so we'll do Frodo and Sam. So Frodo does a 2, and Sam on a 4. And then Gimli's going to use his double-handed axe, because we're really hoping to kill Mauher this turn. And he's got 2 attacks. We've got a 2 and a 3. Okay, we'll take the re-rolls on Frodo and Sam. We get a 3 and a 3. Gimli's going to use his fellowship bonus, which is the locks of Galadriel that allow him to re-roll all of his dice. So he's going to roll 2 dice, again, looking for that 6. Oh, he got it. And making strikes. Mauher is not trapped. We'll start with Frodo and Sam, because they're probably not going to achieve much. Frodo is strength 3, which against Mauher's defense 5 is 5s. Oh, so it makes a wound.
Wound from Frodo. May as well use our single fate. Passes, so he's unwounded for the moment.
And Sam's looking for 6s. No, nothing from Sam there. So Gimli is piercing striking, which means he's strength 5, and with the animosity bonus and the 2-hander bonus, he's wounding Mauher on 2s. So hopefully this is going to be a kill. No! Mauher survives by the skin of his teeth. That is a wound on Mauher, and I will spend the point of might on Gimli to finish him off.
That was the end of a very up and down turn. The Uruks really felt it there. The Fellowship doing exactly what they should do and just butchering people left, right and centre. Real shame Mauher went down without being able to do any damage. But we have a lot of bodies on the table and the Fellowship are now out of position. So we're into pretty key priority roll. We'll start with Good.
Good's on a 5 there. And then for the evil roll...
2. Okay, we'll probably be calling some heroics then into the next turn.
And at the start of the movement phase with Fellowship priority, are there going to be any heroics from the evil side?
Yeah, we had to think about this. We have Ugluk just down here, who has a clear path to move into the Fellowship. But this Scout Captain at the front with the 2-handed axe, his with me bubble is a little bit more inclusive of all the rest of the Uruk. So we're going to call a heroic move with the 2-handed Scout Captain. And then Fellowship countering.
Sam is going to spend a point of might for a heroic move from him.
Okay, so it's a dice off. Whose heroic move goes off first?
All right, with good priority, we're looking for 1, 2, 3. It goes to evil.
All right. Evil heroic movement, and halfway through the movement we are at Lurtz. He is moving straight into Aragorn, dead ahead of him, and as part of his movement he's going to throw his shield as a throwing weapon, part of his Legendary Legion benefit. It is a 3-up shoot for him. That is a 2, so we're going to spend a point of might. That's really unfortunate, but that is going to hit. Strength 4, defense 5.
Yep.
So 5s to wound. No, that is a 3 to wound. However, the key part is Aragorn is now knocked prone, and Lurtz will finish up his move. And at the end of the movement, the board looks like this. It's pretty key. We're going for broke. Legolas is engaged by 3 or 4 Uruks. We've tagged up Merry and Pippin, Gimli, Sam, and Frodo. One of the Uruks did fail a courage check because Frodo's wearing the ring, but we managed to charge him with a bow-wielding Uruk. Boromir is in a 2-on-1, and Aragorn is in a 2-on-1. Crucially, he is in a 2-on-1 and prone, and is fighting Lurtz. So let's see what we can do. Start of the combat phase, and it is heroic galore. So to start with, Sam called his pretty obvious heroic combat for free. As such, we have the evil heroes. We have the Scout Captain, who is calling heroic combat with his last point of might. See if we can get this combat against Legolas to go first. Ugluk has called a heroic strike to try and combat the higher fight of the good hero. Lurtz has called a heroic strike to do the same thing against Aragorn. And in return, the good heroes have called...
So Legolas is also having to call a heroic strike. He doesn't have much option here. He needs to keep his fight value higher than his opponent. Aragorn has also called a heroic strike. He's down on the ground, and we toyed with calling a heroic defense, but with the strike, it's probably more preemptive maybe that he can win the combat, and if he does win, at least he gets to stand up, so he's not prone anymore. And then on Boromir, we have called a heroic combat. He's got a good chance to win this probably, and can help out somewhere. So we're into the roll-off to see which order we call these heroic combats in. Okay, so it's good's priority, and we're rolling off 1, 2, 3 evil, 4, 5, 6 good. It goes to good. So with the combat, Gimli's going to go with the 2 axes, and then piercing strike.
Yeah.
Sam's just going to stay the same.
Let's see what you have to beat. Single Uruk attack rolls a mighty 1, so I think you win that.
So with the piercing strike and the bonus, Gimli's looking at 2s to kill. Well, which he does manage, but only just.
He gave a good go at failing that. The next heroic combat for evil is the Scout Captain. Unfortunately, he's now been peeled out of combat with Legolas and is fighting Gimli one-on-one. We'll piercing strike with the Scout Captain. Gimli is using 2 or 3 attacks.
Gimli's going to go with the 2 axes. He is also going to piercing strike.
Okay, so let's set the bar with the Scout Captain. A 4 high. We'll re-roll one of these. Ooh, okay.
Gimli's got the 4 high.
Banner re-roll with one of them. Oh, 5. Okay, so the Scout Captain's on a 4 high, so Gimli wins on the fight value.
Looking at the combat, it looks like the Scout Captain's actually trapped because he's surrounded by other Uruks that are in combat. So Gimli's going to get to make his 6 attacks. He's piercing striked. He's still behind Legolas in kills, but this might equal them out. So he's looking for 3s here. Oh, that's worthwhile. So 1 wound, and then 2 wounds. So can you fate point it?
Fate point. Oh, saves it. So he survives on 1 wound by the skin of his teeth.
Okay, so next up in the heroic combat stakes, we have Boromir versus the 2 Uruk-Hai. Boromir is outnumbered, so he gets to blow his horn.
Yeah, we got a courage 7, passes with an 8, and the Uruks will be shielding. See if we can hold off the Captain of Gondor. 3 high, straight away with the banner reroll. Into a 3 again. Okay, this is looking good.
Boromir does it on a double 6.
Double 6.
And so Boromir is strength 4 against the defense 5 with the Uruks. He is looking for 5s. So we've got 3 dice here. Oof, does it on double 6. And that's where Boromir ends up his move. He's charging into Lurtz. He's looking for payback.
Next combat, a single Uruk archer versus Frodo and Sam. He will stab and rolls a 5. Not bad.
And Frodo and Sam have 1 attack each. So Sam, he's got the 5, which means they win.
They win on the fight value because of invisible Frodo.
Both Frodo and Sam are looking for 5s here, but I'll roll separately because we've got might. So that lone Uruk with the bow is dead. Next on the table, we have the fight between Merry and the 2 Uruk-Hai. Merry's going to roll first. Oh, he's got the high 6.
Big 6. 2 Uruks with a 5. Merry wins.
Merry makes a strike. He's looking at 5s against these 2 unarmoured Uruks. Another 6.
Son of Brandybuck.
Now the battle of the century. It's Pippin versus an Uruk-Hai. If Pippin can pull the same trick as his cousin, we might be able to free up Legolas from at least being trapped. So let's see. Pippin rolls. Oh, he's got a 3. Okay. So let's see what the Uruk rolls.
The Uruk, fearing for his life after watching what happened with Merry, is going to shield. It seems silly, but we want to win the fight. Oh my god. Okay, 1 and a 2. We are within banner range. Come on. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Okay, doesn't even need the reroll. He loses to Pippin on a 2.
And Pippin's going to follow up by striking. This is 6s, and it fails. He gets to reroll wounds with his elven dagger, and it's worse. Now with Ugluk versus Legolas and 2 Uruk-Hai, both Legolas and Ugluk have heroic struck. So let's see what Legolas goes up to. Ooh, he's only up to fight 8.
8, okay. Ugluk starting 1 behind on 5, but rolls a 4. Okay, so he goes up to fight 9.
Ooh, that's a bad result for Legolas. Okay, Legolas is... Yeah, we'll start off with Legolas. He's got 2 attacks. So he's got a 4 and a 3. We'll hold on to the 4 for now, and we'll take a Fellowship Banner reroll. So he gets a 5, but not the 6 that we really want.
Okay, the Uruks, the 2 regular Uruks will stab, and they roll double 4, and Ugluk with 2 dice. 3 and a 2. Ugluk is going to re-roll 1 for banner re-roll. Oh, 3. That is terrible. He's going to have to spend both his remaining points of might to turn one of those 3s into a 5 and win the fight against Legolas on fight value. Ugluk and the scouts all wounding Legolas on 4s, but the scouts did stab, so 4s re-rolling 1s. That is 1 wound, and then Ugluk's strikes. That is 2 wounds on Legolas.
And Legolas has got 3 points of fate. If he fails all of these saves, then he is dead. So let's start off with, no, so that's 1 failure. That's 1 pass, 1 failure. So Legolas is still standing with 1 wound. Okay, now the combat. Aragorn, who's been rescued by his friend Boromir, is facing just a single Uruk-Hai. He is prone, however, so if he loses this, he's going to be messed up. He did heroic strike, which isn't going to make a difference, but oh, he only went to 7. Remember that when we get to Lurtz's strike roll.
Yeah, fight 7. Uruk, just chancing his luck, going to make a regular strike roll rather than shield. 4 high.
And Aragorn's got the 5.
There we go.
All right, Aragorn, because he's prone, doesn't get to make strikes, but he does get to stand back up.
Finally, we have Boromir versus Lurtz, who was rudely interrupted in his fight with Aragorn. He called a heroic strike to fight Aragorn, so instead he's using it on Boromir. He rolled a 5, so he goes to fight 10.
So he's gonna, I bet he's gonna faint now.
So yeah, he'll be fainting against Boromir.
Which just reduces your fight by D3, but it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Boromir's gonna stab. What, you know.
Why not? 3 dice aside. Lurtz will roll first. He gets the big 6. There we go.
Oh, Lurtz has got the 6.
3 strikes on the fateless Boromir. Strength 5, defense 6, so 5s to wound, rerolling 1s. Well, we got the 1 wound, but no extra wounds, so Boromir loses a wound. And that is the end of another grueling round of close combat. Heroes being wounded on both sides. Took a wound off Legolas and Boromir, which is pretty good. But our ambush was interrupted, and we're now slightly out of position again. So it's going to be another big priority roll into the next turn. Into priority, and Evil get the big 6. Oh, and a 1 for good. So we'll be, I'm guessing, seeing some good heroic moves.
With Evil priority, Aragorn has used his 3 point of might to call a heroic move. He's moved in and tagged up Lurtz for a rematch. Boromir is charging in to support on the right flank. Gimli is taking on a combat between a scout and the scout captain, and Legolas is wounded but taking on another scout. Merry and Pippin are hoping to continue their spree of Hobbit-based murder and are fighting 2 scouts each, and then Sam and Frodo are taking on this lone bowman in the back.
With the good heroic, there wasn't too much left to do. Ugluk, who wasn't engaged quite tactically by the good forces, has just moved along to the end here and tagged on to the merry fight. 3 Uruks behind just run along to try and flank as well, as there's no gaps in this wall of good heroes and combats. We've just shuffled around a few people, and the archers on top of this ruin managed to pass their climb checks and gather themselves together. They might fire a few shots later in the turn.
This turn there was no shooting, so we're straight into the combat phase. On the good side, Sam is going to call his free heroic combat as he and Frodo are engaged in combat. Boromir is going to do a heroic strength, hopefully giving him a good chance of taking out his 2 opponents. Aragorn is heroic striking, and I believe Lurtz is going to heroic strike in response. And Legolas is going to declare heroic combat. He might be able to get round and help out Merry in his fight against Ugluk.
Yeah, and in response, the last point of might on the board for Evil is Lurtz throwing down a heroic strike. Need to see if we can fight Aragorn to a standstill, at least 1 more turn. Into combat, we've got 2 heroic combats to resolve first.
We're going to start off with Legolas versus a single Uruk scout. Legolas has got 2 attacks, and he rolls a 6, so...
there we go.
That's that. He wins that duel, and he gets to make strikes. He is looking for 4s here, because the Uruk has no shield. Well, and it kills him. And that's where Legolas finishes his move after the heroic combat. He's peeled off Ugluk from attacking Merry. Now we have Frodo and Sam versus the Archer. This heroic combat's not going to affect anything because they can't move very far. But let's go with Sam. He's got the 4, and Frodo, he's got a 3. So Frodo will take a reroll into a 5. Let's see what the Archer rolls.
Archer's single attack out the tray. A 4. So Sam wins it on the 5.
As per last time, both the hobbits are wounding on 5s. Oh, so we get 1.
First of the non-heroic combats, we have a Scout and the Scout Captain versus Gimli. We will stab with the Scout and Piercing Strike with the Scout Captain for 3 attacks total.
Gimli's going to use his double axes, and he will Piercing Strike.
So 3 attacks back from Gimli. We'll set the bar with the evil side, so the Scout Captain, a 6, but that goes down to a 5 high, and the Scout rolls a 3. We'll re-roll the Scout's 3 on the banner re-roll. 5, so that's double 5 high. Gimli.
And Gimli's 3 attacks, he gets a 6. Gimli with his Piercing Strike is at Strength 5 versus Defense 5, but he is still lagging behind Legolas and kills, which means that he's on 3s to wound. We're going to roll them all at once, because if he gets more than 2, then both models are dead. So we're going to put 1 wound on the Scout Captain, and there's 2 failures to wound on the normal Scout.
And the Scout Captain is wounded with no fate, so that kills him. Next we have a Scout versus Pippin, 1 dice aside. The Scout rolls, out the tray, a 5 high.
Pippin gets a 1, but with the Fellowship reroll, he rolls it into a 3, so he still loses.
Strength 4, Defense 3, 4s to wound. No wound.
Then we have Merry, who's been saved by Legolas, but is still fighting a single Uruk. He gets a 1 on his dice, so I'm just going to immediately reroll that into a 2.
Let's see what the Uruk gets. A big 6, so the Uruks win again. And same again, 4s to wound. No.
Now on this side we have Legolas versus Ugluk. Legolas isn't going to make any special strikes because, well, if he faints, he's going to go below Ugluk's fight value.
Yep, Ugluk will stab, see if he can chop down the unruly elf. 2 attacks aside, we've got 6 high on the Ugluk. And 6 on Legolas. Legolas wins it on the fight value.
Legolas is going to make 2 strikes. He is only strength 4, so we're looking for 5s. And don't get them.
Fighting against Boromir, we have the Uruk-Hai drummer and a single Uruk scout. Boromir called a heroic strength.
Yeah, so he gets plus D3 strength, which is a mighty 3. So he goes to strength 7, which is pretty great.
There we go. Into the combat, we have 2 attacks from the Uruks. We will both stab. Double 6, so going to make Boromir work for it, perhaps.
All right, and Boromir's 3 attacks. Oh, he doesn't get a 6 there. First, let's take a re-roll, because he's next to Aragorn. Into the 6, so Boromir wins that one. All right, Boromir on his strength 7 is going to be striking the Uruk-Hai drummer first, who, although being defense 5, with strength 7, we're looking for 3s here. So, first up, so there's 1 wound.
Okay, he's only got a wound, but he does have a point of fate, which he fails, so he dies.
And then the final 2, kill the other Uruk.
Final combat of the round, we have Lurtz versus the heir of Elendil. Both have called heroic strikes, so we will lead off with evil. Lurtz gets 5, so he goes up to the fight 10, and Aragorn. Oh, he only gets 3, so he goes up to fight 9. So Lurtz is in with a chance.
So into the combat, Aragorn's got 3 attacks, but he's under fight versus Lurtz. We're going to set the bar. Oh, we get a 5. We'll take the reroll on that 3. Hopefully get a 6. No. So it's a 5 high to beat.
3 attacks back from Lurtz. And we have a 5. Ooh. We do have a reroll on the banner. Oh, 5.
Aragorn is going to spend 1 of his points of might to go up to a 6 and win the fight.
Yeah, Lurtz is out of might, unfortunately, so he loses.
Now, Lurtz with a shield is defense 7, which means Aragorn is looking for 6s to wound here. Oh, he gets 1 wound. So Lurtz takes a wound, but he's got fate.
Yeah, he'll spend a single fate point and fails it as well. So he goes down to 2 wounds remaining. And that is the end of that turn. Another really tough one. It would have been great to score a couple more wounds against the good heroes, but they are proving incredibly resilient. We're completely out of might on the evil side, which is going to be even tougher, but we have made small inroads and the Fellowship are breaking apart. The Uruks are now broken with 20 dead. Our breakpoint was 18. So on the scenario, we roll a D6 on a 1 or 2, the game ends. A 4, so the game carries on. Straight into priority, so priority for next turn.
The good roll, or a 6, and it's a 1 for evil, so it's good priority. Now, with no evil might on the board, the Fellowship are free to move without interruption. Legolas has tagged Ugluk again. He's trying to save the hobbits from getting murdered by Uruk-Hai. The 2 hobbits are taking on one of the unshielded Uruks, and Gimli came thundering in. He actually, off camera, threw an axe and killed one of the scouts and has charged into a second one. And but we can't tag those other 2 scouts. Now, back in the main line, Aragorn is fighting 1 scout and the banner, and Boromir and Sam are fighting Lurtz, with Frodo on the last Uruk scout at this edge. We're on to the Uruk movement, which isn't much, but we'll see where they go.
Roll courage checks for broken force. The 3 archers on top of this ruin all pass, which is great. Over on this side of the board, 1 of the Uruks ran away, leaving 1 behind. The only Uruk movement left after the Fellowship, the 2 unengaged scouts made a last gasp, and they've managed to wrap around to aid Ugluk in his fight. Legolas is now trapped, and we, with a last throw of the dice, might be able to bring down at least 1 Fellowship hero. Shooting phase, Evil actually have a cheeky couple of shots. We may as well take them. 3 archers on top of the ruins are going to target Gimli, who is in combat with a single scout. They haven't moved, so we have 3 shots hitting on 4s. Ooh, 3 hits.
Wow!
Would be great if we could roll that again. We've got 3 in the way, so let's see who they hit, the scout or Gimli. 2 hit the scout and 1 hit Gimli. We'll do both into the scout. Strength 3, defense 5. 5's to kill. Yep, we kill the scout. And then Gimli is defense 8, so we need a 6. No, not on a 2. So we take ourselves 1 less Uruk-Hai, but at least Gimli doesn't get to kill him. Start the combat phase. Evil are out of might, so good. I have a free hand with heroic actions.
Yes, so Sam is going to use his free heroic. He and Boromir are fighting Lurtz. So Boromir is actually going to do a heroic strength that hopefully will allow him to crack through Lurtz's pretty nasty armour. Aragorn is going to do a heroic combat as well. And then over at the other end of the board, Gimli, quite crucially maybe, has had his target taken away. He had a point of might left. He could have done a heroic combat and maybe helped out Legolas. And Legolas himself has got no might left and is looking pretty outnumbered. So we're going to see how the combats go. So we're going to start off the combat phase with Aragorn's heroic combat. He's got 3 attacks and just rolled really badly. Thankfully, he's got that Fellowship banner reroll. So let's roll into a 2. Okay, so currently he's on a 3 high.
Wow, that's pretty unimpressive. Both the Uruks will be shielding. The banner has -1, so the banner gets a 4 high, and the other Uruk gets 1 high. So we are on a 4 high at the moment. Banner reroll, 6, so 5 high at the moment.
Aragorn doesn't have enough might left to reverse this change of fortune, which means that he's lost, but fortunately his opponents are shielding.
Yeah, no strikes, so he just gets forced back.
Into the next heroic combat with Sam and Boromir. Boromir did strength, so he goes up to strength 6. And then, so his 3 attacks, he's got the 5 high. We'll keep that for a moment. And Sam also gets a 5.
Okay, Lurtz, 3 attacks with a banner reroll. Only a 4 high at the moment. Banner reroll out the tray. Oh, a 6, okay.
Okay, Sam, just to rub it in, is going to spend a point of might to change his 5 to a 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, with that, Lurtz has lost the duel. Sam is only strength 2, so he's looking for 6s by 4s against Lurtz. So don't get that. But Boromir is at strength 5, so it is 5s to wound here. Ooh, he gets a wound, and I think he will spend a point of might to finish the Uruk-Hai off.
Lurtz is out of fate and only has 2 wounds left, so forcing Boromir to burn a point of might, but that is Lurtz dead.
That is Boromir's last point of might.
Next fight, it's a single Uruk versus Frodo. We'll stab.
And Frodo gets a 5.
Nice.
And now Frodo's looking for 5s here. He will spend a point in might.
Oh,
and he will kill that scout.
Ringbearer gets a kill.
Now we have the epic duel of the century between Merry and Pippin and a single Uruk scout without a shield.
Yeah, let's see what he can do. The hobbits, 6 high.
6 high.
Can the Uruk beat it? No, not on a 3, so he gets pushed back.
The hobbits are looking for 5s here because this Uruk has no shield. Is failed to wound, but they both have their elven daggers of the Noldoran, which allows them to reroll failed wounds. Still don't make it.
On to the last fight, and potentially a really key one. We have Ugluk and 2 scouts versus Legolas. All 3 Uruks are going to stab as their lower fight, and what the hell, why not? We'll roll them all at once, so 4 attacks from everyone. 6 high at the moment, so can Legolas do it?
Okay, Legolas has got only the 2 attacks, and we're looking for a 6 here. Ooh, there's no 6. Okay, he does have a reroll because he's still close to Pippin.
There we go, a 6. Oh my god, Legolas wins it on fight. Ugluk cannot catch a break.
That's very tight there. Okay, so Legolas' strikes. He's strength 4 against Ugluk, so he'll be looking for 5s. So 2 attacks, no wounds, and he's got no might, so he can't do anything about that.
Yeah, drawn combat. And with that combat with Ugluk and Legolas, that is the end of the game. The Uruks are completely and thoroughly thinned. Their ranks have diminished, almost looking 1-to-1 now. However, we've done a few wounds and we hold a few bits of terrain. So who knows what the end result will be. We're going to add it up and then come back to you in the post-game.
And there we go. That was quite a game.
That was a lot of fun. I thought that was going to be over way quicker than it was. In the end, it stuck around for quite a while and actually had quite a good fight. But I was worried that was going to be.
I mean, the sort of the Aragorn, Boromir, Gimli murder machine started just like
so powerful. I think we've said this before with Isengard. They struggle with their combat heroes. Lurtz is great, but you have no one who is fight 5 or so no one's higher than
6.
No one's fight 6. Sorry, no one's higher than fight 5. That's the thing with evil in general.
Yeah.
Quite low defense. Lurtz is 7, but everyone else, including your heroes, is 5.
Certainly in the scout variants.
And just a lack compared to your might store. I had quite a lot and used it not crazily fast, but used it and it just ran out by the time you were down to you still had your free mites, your free heroic combats. And just completely outplayed. But I thought that was excellent fun. Bloody though. It was very, very. I think we just counted up, and there were 10 Uruks left on the board. Only just
out of 35 total.
35 total. Only just 1 more left in the Fellowship, which is kind of crazy. Again, didn't actually manage to kill a Fellowship member, which I thought was quite unfortunate. But wounded a good few, drained a lot of might, like Boromir's out of might.
Yep.
Aragorn actually had to spend a few. Yeah, few. So anyway, to waffle on, the scores are actually very interesting. They're a lot closer than the game might suggest.
Yeah, I think we were saying it was a little bit like a tennis game in the sense that sometimes the score on the scoreboard doesn't necessarily reflect how the game went, and this is kind of the opposite, where the game looked towards the end extremely one-sided.
Yeah, if it had gone on 1 more turn, I think most of the Uruks would have died, and the only ones left would have been the ones out in.
And they might have just ran away.
They might have run away.
You got lucky on those, I think. But,
sure, but whichever. Yeah. Well, we'll start with the Isengard side first. So Lurtz's scouts earned 3 victory points. Their objective terrain was the piece over on the sort of right-hand side, our left-hand side, Kemmer right-hand side, with the 3 archers on top.
And the Tall Ruin.
Tall Ruin, that was our designated objective terrain. Fellowship never made it anywhere near there. I think that's one thing the Isengard managed to do quite well is the board control. We basically just bottled you into one corner, took the ruin, 3 VPs, so that's great.
That's what we wanted you to think.
Oh, yeah. The hero to defend was Ugluk, and happily he survived all the way to the end of the game with no wounds. I think he burnt a point of fate, but he's unwounded, so 3 VPs for there. The plan was I attempted to put it on the drummer and then just run him away. One, that's a bit lame. Two, Ugluk, it wouldn't have seemed so unusual that he was slightly behind the lines because he's got the head taker special rule. Never used it in the end, but like if he was behind the line, not particularly engaged in combats, it wouldn't have looked unusual and perhaps you wouldn't have known to target him. So 3, it's up to a 6. And our target was Legolas. I was tempted to choose a Hobbit, Merry or Pippin. In the end, I probably shouldn't have because they were tough to kill.
It seems. I mean, Merry and Pippin both did good work.
Who knew, eh? Chopped their way through the Uruks. So I was tempted to try Frodo or Sam, but they were really tough to get to. You played very well in sort of bottling us into one area. So I chose Legolas. He's only defense 4, only 2 attacks. He does have 2 wounds, 3 fate, but in the end we did manage to wound him. Almost managed to kill him in that last combat with Ugluk.
Yeah, it was close.
Really close.
Really close.
That would have netted us 9 VPs, but we are on 7. So that leads us to the Fellowship.
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar but different story. Obviously, as our nominated terrain piece, the wood next to the tall ruin, really I probably should have been less ambitious because there's no way...
Probably should have chosen this one.
I should have just chosen the ruin right in front of us here that I deployed in.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. The model that we were choosing to defend, that was Frodo.
Good one to defend.
On the basis that... Yeah, he's actually quite tanky. He's got heroic defense, but he's also got 2 wounds. He's got 3 fate.
Defense 6.
He's defense 6, and he's got the ring, which can just be super good.
Yeah, half that fight value, courage check to charge, all that sort of thing. So it's a solid choice.
And with Sam on hand, you can get Sam into the right combats. He can jump with someone else and help out Frodo.
Even out the odds.
My target was Malher, who went down pretty brutally.
Yeah, first turn of combat, Boromir just sliced him up. I was hoping he'd survive a little bit longer, but no.
Yeah.
So that's 3 VPs, 4 keeping Frodo alive, 0 for the
0 for the terrain,
and 3 for keeping for slaying Malher. Sorry.
Yeah. So that was 6. That was 6, but because I broke Lurtz's scouts, and I remain unbroken myself because
Frodo's
not dead.
I didn't actually kill anything.
And no Fellowship member went down.
Lots of wounds, but no deaths.
I get 3 VPs for that.
Which brings you to 9.
Takes us to 9. So
that is a Fellowship victory, 9-7, which again is quite close on the board. I think one thing we should talk about, we realised afterwards, but basically that final combat, that final turn, we had Gimli fighting a single Uruk with a point of might left. Legolas got swamped by Ugluk and 2 other
2 scouts,
scouts and trapped. Happily, completely accidentally, the Uruk archers shot at Gimli, just on chance, killed the Uruk he was fighting, leaving him out in the open, and didn't wound him at all, didn't even hit him. Crucially, that meant if that Uruk had stayed alive, Gimli could have Uruk combated.
Yep.
Killed the Uruk almost certainly, and then swung round. He had just enough distance to get into Ugluk. Would have probably fought Ugluk and likely killed him, I reckon, or at least wounded him. He only had 2 wounds left, no fate, only defense 5. Gimli was good at getting through that defense 5. And Legolas would have, I mean, he wasn't wounded anymore anyway, but he would have happily fought 2 scouts and 1 probably. So that would have swung it to, I got 3 points for keeping Ugluk unwounded. He probably would have died. So it would have swung it to 9-4, something along those lines.
4, yeah.
Conversely, we had Ugluk versus and 2 scouts versus Legolas. He pulled it through on that 6 on the dual roll in the last turn. If I had won that last roll, both sides were out of might. We would have had 8 attacks at strength 4 to wound a single defense 4 model, which would have netted me 3 victory points instead of 1 for the
defense 4 model with a single wound as well.
Single wound, no fate. We would have needed 8 dice for a single 4 up, and that would have bumped me to 9 victory points.
Yeah, I mean it was very close to a tie, I think.
So that would have done a tie. So I think that's just such a cool indication, just a really nice demonstration of what a cool game system this is. A single bow shot and a single 6 in a combat right at the end of the game when it looked really one-sided, actually could have taken us to a stomping victory or brought us up to a draw.
Yeah.
And I think that's perfect, basically, in terms of Middle Earth stuff. That was a lot of fun. In general, how do you feel breaking the Fellowship? It's only your sort of second time using them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very it's interesting to play because you've got 4 models which are really very good. In slightly different ways, but Boromir is just a monster.
Yeah,
really.
He's great. I suppose it's
he's a glass cannon.
He's a glass cannon. That's the word. He's defense 6, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Fight 6, 3 attacks, really great. You got all that might.
Yeah.
But on the one time you roll real bad and you lose a fight and you're trapped, could go down really quick.
He could die real fast
because he lost against Lurtz, I believe.
Yes.
And Lurtz had 3 attacks, so if he'd wounded with every single attack, he could have killed Boromir.
Yeah, and if Boromir was trapped as well, then he'd be rolling 6 dice. Suddenly, I think with Boromir, it's part of the great game design of this particular iteration of Boromir. I mean, we could talk about the Gondor Boromir, which is a very different story, but in this sort of thing, I mean, you've got to be careful, because if you overcommit him and he gets kind of surrounded and dragged down and he's got no one to help him, he can die.
Yep. Quite quickly.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like Aragorn's probably got a few more. He's got the tools. I mean, he's got the mighty hero.
Yeah, he's only defense 5, but conversely, he's got 3 wounds, 3 fate, a crap load of might, and consistently loads of might.
Infinite single might.
Yeah.
A turn.
So he's pretty scary to kind of deal with, and just the flexibility. He's got basically every heroic action.
Yeah.
And you had the choice, when he got knocked down with Lurtz's shield throw, you were like, I could do a defense here, I could do a strike to try and win the combat and get back up. I could, you had loads of flexibility, whereas basically with Lurtz's scouts, it was some heroes have strike and they will be doing strike, and then some just have combat. I had strength as well on quite a few heroes, but we were already strength 4, strength 5 on the heroes, and you were usually quite low defense. So
wasn't
necessary too much.
The original iteration of the game that we played back in the misty old days, the heroic actions was actually kind of less of a carefully stratified system in the sense.
Were they in?
Yeah, they did exist, but it was less of a sort of big deal. Whereas now it's, like someone having heroic strike, that's really significant.
Yeah, it's big,
because, fight is, though it only affects the tie, really it can be a massive thing. I mean, that was Legolas, he won that last fight because he is fight 6.
Yep,
and,
absolutely.
None of the Uruks can equal that.
Nope. As soon as you're out of might, you had I can't remember, there's a sheet over there somewhere, but I think the Fellowship had a good 5, 6, 7 might left in the bag, not including Aragorn's free one every turn. You burnt through quite a lot. But
no, I burnt through most of it. So Aragorn had 1 point left. Boromir spent all of his. Legolas had spent all of his. Yeah. Gimli had 1 point left.
Okay, so
Sam had spent all of his, and Frodo had 1 point left at the end.
Okay, so we'd burnt through a good amount, but again, the results to show for it. Not a single dead Fellowship member.
Mm-hmm.
Very close in quite a few different situations. If we'd won against Aragorn, we might have, really hammered on him.
I mean, there were a lot of cheeky combats that kind of pulled us out where.
I think for me, facing the breaking of the Fellowship, it was like you did your work, lock everything up. I was quite fortunate and won quite a few of the heroic move offs, 2 or 3 in a row, and then
the priority rolls.
The priority rolls as well. So got the movement off quite well. Tagged everything in, and you look at the board, start the move phase, and go, yeah, this is pretty good. We've got a lot of, we're attacking the heroes we want to with all the good things. And then by the time the Fellowship has finished doing all its re-rolls and free heroic combat shenanigans, you're like, hang on a minute, we're outnumbered where we don't want to be, and oh dear, that's so I think that's really, I think it's good. He played it very well, but a really interesting mechanic behind the Fellowship is they're just so flexible.
I feel, I talked down the hobbits at the start.
They were murder machines.
But they're very easy to overlook because you're like, oh no, they got 1 attack. They got fight 3. They're only strength 2.
Yeah.
And then you're like, actually, they can just kind of be like the little grit that gets in the old cogs of the game, and they just disrupt.
I think especially because we've played Quest the Ringbearer quite a lot. When you have non-breaking of the Fellowship, Merry and Pippin. You know, Frodo and Sam have might and multiple wounds and stuff.
Yeah.
But Merry Merry and Pippin don't. Regular Fellowship, they're not particularly good.
Bad.
But when they are a banner to each other, and their melee attack also rerolls
failed
wounds, they're surprisingly, you know, they're way better than a regular line Uruk, which is completely the inverse.
I'd say so. Other than the strength, which is a limitation.
Yeah,
but yes, with Frodo there, which to half the fight, you know, the Hobbit Death Squad, was pretty good.
Absolutely. I think basically, effectively, what this is kind of wish fulfillment. So this scenario was, what would happen if Boromir survived the ambush at Amon Hen and instead butchered Lurtz in face-to-face combat and you know, stomped on him
because his friends are there.
His friends are there, so you know, with the power of friendship, they survive happily.
Exactly.
Boromir will be going on, you know, defending the walls of the Hornburg.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in the future we'll do a few more scenarios where what if Boromir is at Helm's Deep, or
it just wouldn't have been a fair fight, would it?
I know.
Just would have been...
I mean, maybe we'll have Boromir and the Pelennor where he'll take down two like Mumakil. To Legolas's one.
It'll be a three-way killing contest between Boromir, Legolas, and Gimli. But yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun for us. As we say, this is our first match play game we've put out. We're planning to do an equal amount of match play, Quest of the Ringbearer, and hobby videos on the channel. If you guys want to see more of one than the other, please do tag us, comment below, you know, follow us along. We do have all the usual social channels you could imagine. So we are on Instagram, Twitter, and we have a Facebook page, the details of which will be along the bottom if we do our editing magic. Obviously, this is on the YouTube channel, but if you want to follow us on any of those, the Facebook group is a closed group. If you want to join it and just chat to us, feel free. That's probably the best place to do it. Instagram and Twitter will be putting out sort of behind the scenes stuff and how we film stuff, bit of tutorial, that sort of thing. It really would help us a lot if you would give us a follow, a subscribe, share it even, dare I say. Help us kind of build up this channel. As we say, we put in a fairly silly amount of effort in the building of these armies, boards and terrain over the past years. I'm not over exaggerating when I say years. So
certainly building up to it.
Building up to it, absolutely. Do keep an eye out. This is planned to be part of a first week of releases to sort of showcase what the channel has. So we'll have some narrative games coming along very, very soon. We'll have some hobby coming along very, very soon. So please do check us out and keep an eye out for any more videos coming on. We hope you have enjoyed this. And do you want to take us out? We'll see you in the next one.
To all a good night.
Something along those lines.